And voters will also decide whether most felons should regain the right to vote here in Florida. A judge struck down Governor Scott's process for deciding that on grounds that it's too restrictive, and the governor is defending his process. But in the end, this one can be decided on the ballot instead of a courtroom, and Vanessa Ruffes is going to show you what both sides have to say about that.
This one is my favorite. It's Amazing Grace.
Coral Nichols lines her office wall with inspiration.
My master's degree is something I look at and remind myself that I'm a hard worker. I did it when people...
There's a lot of hope here, which she shares with her clients as they struggle with homelessness and addiction.
We help people go through a program that I developed that teaches them life skills, it teaches them accountability, it teaches them self-sustainability.
But not too long ago, Nichols was staring at different walls. And this picture defined her life.
Laying in bed in a county jail, I told God, I remember, I said, if you are who you say you are and you can do what you say that you can do, then take my life. Because I'm going to die if you don't.
She served 5 years for embezzlement and is still working through a 10-year probation. As a convicted felon in Florida, she is barred for life from owning a firearm, serving on a jury, and voting.
In the last 13 years, I have made every effort to be different. And the word Department of Corrections, correction means to redirect. It means to change something. Well, I've been corrected, but I'm continually punished.
Like others seeking to become full citizens again, her only hope is a meeting with Florida's Clemency Board.
This is my last year as governor.
That's the governor and his cabinet. But even after her sentence and probation are complete, she still has to wait 5 more years to even ask for that meeting.
I will be 55 years old, and I'm 39 right now, before I can even see the governor and ask him, with 1 minute, to explain to him why I'm different. And I'm sorry.
Even then, there's no guarantee. Nearly 30,000 felons have applied to regain their civil rights since 2011. Fewer than 2,900 succeeded. That's less than 10%.
We have people who have, written a bad check 26 years ago who are still waiting for the clemency process to play out.
Neil Voles with the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition says the long wait discourages many from even trying.
It's very subjective in nature, it's cumbersome, and it makes it very hard for somebody to kind of walk through that process.
In November, Floridians will be asked to decide on the group's proposed amendment. If approved, it would automatically restore voting rights to most felons who complete their sentences, including parole and probation. Murderers and sex offenders would still have to go through the current clemency process.
This is a recognition of taking it out of elected officials' hands and creating a process that would allow the people who have paid their debt back to society the ability to join their communities fully and become full citizens and have their voices heard.
Most good people are somewhere in the middle.
Richard Harrison with Floridians for Sensible Voting Policy says that the current system isn't perfect, but believes this amendment is a bad idea.
It treats the first-time felon who committed a nonviolent crime exactly the same way that it treats somebody who's been a career criminal and has actually hurt people. It makes no distinction.
He says Florida should try to streamline the process instead of scrapping it altogether.
Doing it on a case-by-case basis is the fundamentally correct approach.
So in a separate move, there is a bill going through the Florida legislature which proposes keeping the current case-by-case system, but moving the decision-making to judges rather than having it in the hands of elected officials. Now, this could speed the process up, but potentially the downside is that standards can vary from judge to judge.
In terms of numbers, how many people are we talking about here? How many ex-cons would be affected by this in Florida?
Anywhere between 1.6 and 1.8 million people. That is the highest rate in the entire nation, more than any other state.
Good insight, Vanessa. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Coming up, this is the government of Puerto Rico's Florida office where they wound up feeding hurricane relief donations to rodents. How can that even happen? Who's responsible? And what can we do about it?